Welcome home, brave heroes. This is AshQuest, and it's dark. I'm Ash, and I can't see a thing, so we're going to remember to turn on my lighting. Oh my god, that's blinding. Much better. How are you all doing? That's a serious question. Answer it now. Are you sleeping well? Did you see that in the past I've covered unboxing Games Workshop FT Toybox releases? No? Probably because all of those were on the Amalgamash channel, and I did them individually. Well, I've had a number of these FT releases waiting for me to unbox, and I really need to get it done so that I can take these miniatures out and paint them and kit bash them and make them suitable for my HeroQuest Classic Master project. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of that in this video today. We're going to start with FT01. This is an out-of-print Games Workshop product called Dungeon Denizens, and it includes all you see here. This is the Minotaur and Bats, Snotlings, Rats, and Spiders from Warhammer Quest, the 1995 edition. And this particular box doesn't come with any of that stuff because I've already taken that stuff out to put with my master project. So I'll dig those out retroactively so you can see what they look like. I just knocked over a bunch of stuff I had stacked up while I was doing that, so that's really annoying. Anyway, these are kit bashed. Well, partially. I've already got them into their HeroQuest styled bases. Focus, please. Thank you. Yeah, these are the bats. The detail on the bats is pretty good. Focus. Stay focused. The detail on the bats is pretty good. I really like how they look. I like their very threatening nature. They're coming in to attack the heroes. They're just dive bombing them. Meow, scree. And the box comes with 4 of them. Now these have been painted. Whoops. And this is not the color that they're supposed to be. This is actually a pretty crappy color. I should actually go back over these with some speed paints. I don't know. I wanted the faction to be purple colored. And enough of the explanation. Let's get back to the actual unboxing. We have a lot of these to go. This box comes with 4 giant rats as well, which are creatures that you'll encounter in Warhammer Quest, as well as 4 giant spiders, whether you like it or not. All of these were colored purple for my purposes, or at least started to color them purple. I really need to get back into that. But I've been busy with secret projects that you'd probably know about if you joined the Amalgam Archive, linked in the description below. Now I do seem to be missing the Snotlings, which is kind of disconcerting. I'll have to look for those. Not sure where they would be. Oh, never mind, I found them. I hadn't colored them yet, so actually I've got a great opportunity to make sure that these guys come out right. You can see I didn't actually clip them from their original bases, which are these really small oval-shaped bases, incidentally the same ones that they come on for Warhammer Quest. I just glued the bases to the HeroQuest shaped base. But now I can use them in a HeroQuest game. Using Snotlings in the same game that you're using Goblins seems redundant, but there are Goblins and Snotlings both in Warhammer Quest. So it didn't seem like an illegitimate move. Finally, this came with 2 Minotaurs. Sometimes you can see these Minotaurs come with giant axes, other times they come with clubs. If you can get your hands on one of each variety, it's pretty cool. You can assign them different stats unless you're planning on coloring them differently. The Minotaur looks really cool. It's very threatening. It's a really fearsome enemy to run into when you're playing Warhammer Quest. It really sucks. So I'd like to give it the same kind of presence if you run into it in HeroQuest. The Minotaur, I believe, was going to come with the Sinister Sorcerers pack that was not released, that was being designed way back for HeroQuest, and I'm fairly confident that this is probably the sculpt that they would have used, unless they would have used the other sculpt with the club. And they are identical sculpts. There are no differences between them except for the weapon in their hand. But this is just a really cool sculpt. If I had any complaints whatsoever, it would be that there's 5 toes on each foot down there instead of hooves, which gives this guy a really unique quality. And the dump truck in the back. I mean, you know, who's really paying attention? Never mind. You be you, Minotaur. I'm not going to shame you. You, more power to you. Is it Minotaur? Minotaur? I think I've asked that question before. Obviously, these guys are gray when you pull them out of the boxes, but these are the bases on which they are permanently attached. This is what they basically look like before I have kit bashed them onto the HeroQuest double wide bases. FT02 is a box that I did have, and I think I've got the flattened box somewhere around here, but all it comes with are skinks and lizardmen. And the lizardmen are awesome. They are easily some of my favorite Games Workshop monsters. They're called Saurus lizardmen in some editions, most of the editions I guess, but here they are, kit bashed onto HeroQuest bases, and I painted them this nice tealish blue color. They come with different arms and different heads and bodies, so you can take the interchangeable heads and stick them on to kind of customize how your army will look and give them different weapons as well, different poses by just turning the arm in the socket. And I mean, you get quite a few of them as well, so you have a lot of options for making a very custom Lizardman army. This is classic Warhammer fashion, but I actually really like this detail. I wish more games gave us the fit together interchangeable weapons and heads, and it looks like there's some Kickstarters for some different miniature sets coming out that will follow this trend and generally make it more affordable down the line. I hope that that is the case. FT02 also comes with a number of skinks. I believe there were 8 in the pack. I could be wrong on that number, but the skinks come in 2 different varieties. They're just monopose miniatures, but there's 2 different poses. They are clearly suited for ranged attacks. They all carry bows. It looks like they are smaller in stature than the Lizardmen. I don't know the lore between the Lizardmen and the skinks or any lore about them in general, but here all of them are kind of to give you an idea of the scale. And again, kit bashed onto HeroQuest bases. I love the Lizardman army. This is also one of the more affordable ones. It looks like consistently this one is cheaper than the other Toybox packs on eBay, but also the Lizardman, Saros, and Skinks are available in Warhammer army boxes. Oh, here we go. I found my specific Warhammer army box. I'm not actually sure if I did get FT02 legitimately then. I think I just bought this box and I made sure to get a bunch of Skinks secondhand. So yeah, that's handy. Games Workshop FT03 is Wizards, and this one is highly sought after because it has some really awesome sculpts in it. Specifically, it has sculpts from the Talisman 3rd Edition expansions, all of the ones that represent magic users of some kind or another. This is pretty worth your time if you're looking for very consistent aesthetic to kit bash new HeroQuest heroes and villains alike. This will give you a lot of content. Pour it out. Now these guys are still on their sprues because I just wanted to show them on camera before I took them off their sprues, I guess. But these sculpts were released in '94, and these sculpts do come with various Talisman expansions. Look at this Chaos Sorcerer. He is so badass. He is covered in skulls. He's got horns. He's got a giant staff. And remember, in Talisman, you can play characters that are not necessarily good, but can also be aligned with neutral or evil, because Talisman is a very you're looking out for yourself kind of game. Now, I've got these guys all ready, and they are in my Talisman 3rd Edition box. They have their own Talisman bases. There's no kit bashing going on there, but these guys are going to be painted, and they're going right into my HeroQuest Master box. I'm going to be taking off these Slotta base ridges on the bottom and putting them right on HeroQuest bases. So they'll look a little bit something like this. Now, some of you might wonder why I just don't use the specific classic HeroQuest bases that have the lines in them cut out, suited just for this purpose, so that you can use these Games Workshop Slotta-based minis. I'm doing it this way because a lot of these miniatures that Games Workshop does, they might be in like diagonal positions, and when you put them into their base, they're facing diagonally when I would rather them face head on. And I know that there's a reason that Games Workshop decided to make them face one direction rather than another, but just for HeroQuest consistency, I'd like for them to be facing forward. Now these guys will face forward if I go ahead and put them in those slotted HeroQuest bases, but it's just easier on me to not do it that way. We've got the Shaman and the Druid here. We've got a Witch, Elf, Sorceress. This might go by another name. I don't have the names in front of me. Enchantress? She's really cool. One of the few female miniatures from this time period, if you are just looking at the board games. Definitely kind of plays into that fan service-y 90s, 80s aesthetic for fantasy miniatures and gaming and just fantasy in general, but it's still done in kind of a classy way. It's not overly fan service-y in my opinion. I think this guy is the astrologer. He is reading from a scroll. He is saying the end is nigh. The end times were coming. Warp space and the chaos therein was coming, and nobody listened to this guy. If somebody had just listened to him. Or is this the astrologer? I don't know. I'll have to go look at my booklets again and rearrange these guys once more. We have another interpretation of a wizard. I think this is a bright wizard. He looks really cool. Really, really awesome pose. Great dynamic sculpt. Lots of really awesome detail, all in the right spots. This is my favorite thing about Citadel miniatures from this time period, and they're sturdy. None of this is all shrimpy and shrivelly and wiry and stringy like on the Age of Sigmar models. Yeah, that's right. I'm calling you out, contemporary sculptors. Your sculpts are beautiful, but they look like they would break if I looked at them wrong. That's Wizards, and I actually have a second Wizards box, but I think that's because I bought a mixed pack, and in this mixed pack, I got pieces from FT05, which is the Adventurers pack. Don't worry, I'm not harming anything by just dumping it out onto my table here. Now, I do have a couple of extra Wizards because of this. Who knows, maybe they'll be in a giveaway someday. We've got a War Dancer here, or a Witch Elf. It just depends on what you're looking at. But we have a broken sword here, so that's too bad. We've also got a dwarf who took the Slayer's Oath. I'm not sure what he's about to slay. Perhaps just whoever's taller than him, because he's a pretty squatty fellow. Shamed by those taller than he. Oh, my mistake. FT05's not Adventurers. FT05 is Knight's Retinue, and I don't have anything from that box. It looks like a really cool box. I'm actually not sure if I'm going to get it, because there's not a lot of opportunity to use figurines that are mounted on beasts such as horses in the base game of HeroQuest. We'd have to do some board modifications for that, and I don't know if I want to go that direction with my project. So we're skipping over FT05 because I don't have it. These ninnies are FT07 High Elves. These sculpts are from 95, and that's what they are. They're High Elves, although this is a little bit more ambiguous since they're wearing hoods. They could just be human archers. I mean, the back of the box makes it clear. This is part of the elf retinue. It's just elves. Elves, FT07. They ended up with far too many extras of these boys, and I'm not going to use any of them, I don't think, unless I make them into dark elves, but I can't do that because if you know the difference between a dark elf and a high elf, these are not going to pass for dark elves whatsoever. So they'll probably have to get gotten rid of. I just don't have any room in my gaming area for high elves. One might ask then why I got this pack. Well, I didn't know the difference between dark elves and high elves back then. One of them is colored. The colors are actually really nice. It's not a super detailed job, but it is precise, and the color choice was very good. Good job to whoever colored this. Look, they only got about this far with them before they realized, hey, these aren't dark elves, and then they sold this on eBay. Move that crap out of the way. And now we're going back to look at FT04. FT04 is awesome. It's the Orc Mob, and it comes with all kinds of Games Workshop goodies, all used in Warhammer Quest 95. We've got the Black Orc, which you will see also used in Talisman. And you only get one of these guys, which is a crying shame because I would like to have sort of a mini army of Black Orcs to use with my HeroQuest Master Project, which means I'm going to have to hunt down an army box, and those are premium. These guys are kind of difficult to come by. We've got regular orcs. These are the Warhammer Quest variety, the regulars, as well as the archer orcs, orc archers. You got shields optionally that you can attach to the regular orcs, or I suppose you could attach the shield to the orc archer as well, because why shouldn't an archer be able to defend himself if he knows how to do it? The goblins in this are charming as well. You've got goblins that have just the spears, kind of mimicking the pose from their HeroQuest variants, although it's not the same sculpt at all. Then you've got the archer goblins, and you've got two different factions here. It's suggested you've got your wolf riders, and then you've got your crazy moonface goblins. Finally, this comes with just one goblin fanatic, and this is the exact same sculpt used in Talisman, the base game for 3rd edition. FT06 is Adventurers, and if you only get 2 of these boxes ever, get FT03 for the Wizards and get FT06 for the Adventurers, because these Adventurers are the other Adventurers miniatures that come with the Talisman expansions. Very rare, very hard to get a hold of. 4 of these are Warhammer Quest's heroes, and the other 4 are from the Talisman expansions. So you actually get the warrior from Warhammer Quest, as well as the dwarf from Warhammer Quest, the wizard, and the elf. But here we have an intact dancer, which I'm really glad to have. I actually wasn't certain if I had this miniature undamaged. Now I know I'll have one to use in my HeroQuest Master Edition. I knew that I did have one of these in my Talisman box, but that stays with Talisman. These stay separate. The Assassin, which you could use this as the rogue, a classic version of the rogue for HeroQuest. I've got a copy of the Troll Slayer right here. Oh, here's the elf. Here's the elf, the archer, the ranger, the elf. They are from Athelloren, but not when he goes into my HeroQuest project. He's going to be from a completely different place, unconnected to Warhammer. And finally, a halfling, a little snarky, mischievous halfling. Would be really glad to see more halfling representation in modern HeroQuest. Would have really loved to see more halflings in classic HeroQuest. It's nice that we have the warlock, and now it's super nice that we have the druids, because I'm definitely interpreting them as halflings. I know some people think that they might be gnomes. I just don't think it's in Avalon Hill's best interest to introduce more races at this very limited lore level when all they have of the halflings so far is just the warlock. So I'm pretty sure that the druids are halflings. But anyways, this guy will make a great substitute for something in the old HeroQuest. Maybe I'll have to transform one of the classes back into a halfling for the classic edition. That's pretty much it for this unboxing. That's all of the toy boxes that I have. Now I can finally take these guys, pull them off their sprues, start kit bashing and planning on painting and priming for my Master Edition project. I hope that you found this video educational, because there are still a few of these on eBay that pop up every now and then, and you can save the search and be notified whenever another one comes up. And in my opinion, they're really worth getting if you're into kit bashing your own classic HeroQuest stuff. They're also worth getting if you have Warhammer Quest and you just need more mobs, more monsters, more Citadel miniatures. You could use some of these mobs for advanced HeroQuest as well, if you needed to have new mobs for that. I know it would be really fun to pull the Black Orcs into Advanced HeroQuest, and if you have Talisman expansions and you're missing some of the miniatures from those, or you're trying to put together Talisman expansions for 3rd edition, this can be a great way to supplement the miniatures for that. There's just so many use cases for these older Citadel miniatures, in plastic, no less. That's it from me, brave heroes. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to comment anything you'd like down below, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your day. I think I already said that, and onward.